GM. So today I'm going to look at some of these 4-hour trends, see how they're developing. And we are close, but we don't quite have any confirmations just yet for many of these. So we're getting that area where it's very close to having some confirmations where 50, 100, 200 are all in line. Pepe, that will probably happen in the next few candles, where the red gets above the blue, which then you have officially back into a bullish uptrend. And with this solid black line, which is the old all-time high, that also acts as a great retest point. So if you see those cross to bullish, and then you see a move down into that all-time high, old all-time high level that then holds, that's going to be your perfect entry point for a 4-hour trend on Pepe. And we'll give you an invalidation below as well. So Pepe looks pretty good from that perspective. I think Bonk is already in one. Yeah, so Bonk already has flipped back into 4-hour uptrend, and I'll show you exactly what happened here. So 50 went above the 100, over here 50, 100, 200 was just about there. That's where it came, and boom, away Bonk goes. And now you're looking at further consolidation. Once the bands actually cross over the bullish, the best time to buy is actually when it gets below them, right? So now that they're bullish, if it continues higher, the bands will stay in a bullish formation, and you can see a flush right down through them, and it can still hold, right? Price can go below the bands and still remain in bullish formation without crossing bearish. And so you want to be looking at some of your gaps or inefficiency areas below as being levels to watch. But like when I see on the previous video, stuff like SHIB, I'm seeing this massive open interest increase on SHIB, and I'm like, it's not even remotely close to being bullish yet. Not compared to others. Flocky was the same. I'm like, Flocky a bit better, but still not flipping those to bullish just yet. And then of course, if you compare the majors, Bitcoin, this is now it, officially for the first time. There we go, 50, 100, 200. So from a perspective of those bands, why does that matter? Well, look back and look all the way over to here, right? 50 crossed the 100 and crossed the 200 at this point here, right? 50, 100, 200 was crossing over there. And so Bitcoin at that point confirmed a 4-hour uptrend. What happened? It came all the way from 28 right back to 26, went below the bands, but look at the bands the whole way through. Bullish, 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 drop below, briefly flip bearish again, and then they flip bullish one more time. And when they flip back over into bullish formation there, that was it. Never looked back, caught a really nice 4-hour uptrend, right? And same thing over here, they flipped down into bearish, and then we got back into bullish formation at this level here. Where is it? 50, 100, 200. It was somewhere around, I mean, I have to zoom right in. You can see the crossover about there. What happens right after the crossover when they get bullish? Price actually drops down, fills in some inefficiencies. Sets up then for a nice move higher. So obviously, every strong uptrend comes within a 4-hour bands crossover. If we look over here, 50, 100, 200, all bearish, 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 bearish. By the time they flip bullish over here, we're on the way up. 50, 100, 200 over there. So look at that candle. Boom, into the uptrend. Carries them all the way up to here. And so that's why it's so important, because every strong trend we have has that as a feature. Now, the way I'd be looking at it, like the first thing that would stick out in my mind is that we have this inefficiency below. So we have an area to fill, a gap to fill, and I think that Bitcoin crossing those bands as bullish to where they're all in line, and then dropping down, and then holding, and then reclaiming. And if you see the 50 EMA, right, so it drops down into the bands, comes back above and holds the 50 EMA, that's your perfect entry, that's your invalidation. That's when you then have a really good 4-hour trend that should at least take you to all-time high, right? And, of course, can take you beyond that. But that's probably going to take another week to set up, I would say, because that's how long it really typically will take, and that's how long it kind of should take as well. Like you can see over here, that from the first time they crossed here until we actually had the second confirmed cross was 14 days, right? So they first crossed, we stayed above, bullish, 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 back below, flushed out anyone who got long too soon. What did it do there? It just filled in some inefficiency, right? There was no gap left here from this impulse candle. We pushed up, people got long, 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 flush, 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 bleed them out, holds, and then we go. So the point of this is that you've got highs and lows forming all the time, right? So when the market is flipping back from being bearish to bullish, you want to view it through the lens of where could it go and where could it go back to and still remain bullish, right? So you've got this untested support resistance level. It was support, then it flipped to resistance, then we broke out. It has not been retested yet. That would be quite a severe sell-off, considering the fact that if it went down like that, you're also breaking all of this structure in between, and you're also going significantly below the bands. So I don't think that Bitcoin will go there, and I do think this gap will probably get left for now, because the nature of that probably being a mispricing, at least in the short term. What I do think we can see is a move back down into this consolidation area here, right? And it's like when you look at the higher highs and higher lows, well, we've got a high created here, and there's our low. We just need to see a higher low form somewhere in here, right? If you're looking at it like this, the higher low has to be forming there, otherwise it's a break of structure. I would say, sure, possibly, but if you zoom it out onto the daily for higher highs and higher lows, I'd be looking at it from the perspective of everything above these bands will be the initial, like, interim, not an interim high or interim low, like a interim market structure level. And if it loses that, I mean, it doesn't really, like, it's not good. I don't see how going down to here, even though it would just be a nice retest, or not even a nice retest, you would just say, oh, perfect retest of a kind of under over. It would also break a lot of this initial trend structure. So I actually think that as a bull, you probably don't want to get this great entry. You know, it's like one of those, you have to think about it as well in terms of how people are positioned. So let's take an obvious example. Most people close their longs or get short, or they get positioned wrong here, right? Then it rallies up and it's at 67, and they were short or bearish at 60 and 59 and 58 and 57. If the market were to come back to there, wouldn't everyone just love to buy that and get themselves back in, and just a free, doesn't matter that you panic sold the bottom, you just get back in. That's kind of why you don't want to see that. That's kind of why going there is not a great sign. And so from that perspective, I guess the best thing you want to see is probably a little push further and then some kind of consolidation around in here. And if it dips back into this area and is unable to break lower, I think that is when you really want to start loading up. I wouldn't say that this is a confident market structure level yet. I do think we'll come back down and test it, and it will try to break the 62, it will try to break the 60, and if it's not able to, I think that is your clearest sign. If it comes into that level and can't break it, I think that is your clearest sign for getting swing long. And so keep that in mind when you're looking at these altcoins as well. Many of them are starting to push towards having 4-hour 50, 100, 200 EMA uptrends. But don't forget what I said last week. Altcoins don't have any reason to exist other than people buying them because they think we're bullish, right? So everyone is going to start buying because they think it's now bullish. If it's not time, right, it's only July, if we're not going to be getting bullish till September, October, this will be a failed rally, and there will be further chop, and people will not be slow to sell again. That's what you have to remember. Like, there's no such thing as a good alt. There's no such thing as good fundamentals that's all nonsense. So as soon as the market stops looking good, and as soon as the trends seem like they're weakening, people are just going to dump their alts, right? And that's how these failed rallies come about. Nobody buys an alt for fundamental reasons. So this has all the setups, this is all the hallmarks of what could be a new trend. But I think the next week will be very telling for that. GM.